So there was a great live stream from the folks at Midnight's Edge. Be sure to subscribe to them if you haven't. They do fantastic Hollywood commentaries and analysis over there. But they were talking about Lord of the Rings of Power, and how the first season went. And Chris Gore was on the stream. And he gave some insider news, which is that he knows someone connected to Amazon. And he says that he's heard that they're going to be retooling the show. He said of the current showrunners, they're not going to be publicly fired, but their role will be reduced, potentially just remaining in the writer's room. But my understanding is that they're looking for more experienced showrunners. He also talked about how they're well aware of the problems, the issues with the series as well. And he also talked about that behind the scenes, they're freaking out that this was more than a failure than could have been anticipated. He also suggested what he thinks the primary issues with the show are. He called the show sleep-inducing, remarked on the total rejection from the fans, and lastly, he speculated that the competition from House of the Dragon is probably a factor. Indeed, House of the Dragon being from basically the same genre as Rings of Power, and yet it's generally very well received by audiences by comparison to the train wreck that is Rings of Power. Now, I will include a link to the excerpt from this Midnight's Edge live stream in the description box below, so you can check that out. So what do we think about this? Well, assuming this rumour is true, firstly, it's going to be another 2 years before the second season of Rings of Power happens, which in television terms is like an eternity. The first season was terrible and reviled by a lot of the audience. Forgettable characters, an unlikable protagonist, poor writing, slow pacing, an uninteresting story, canonical breaks from Tolkien's Middle-earth mythology, which probably really upset a lot of Tolkien fans, and of course, some truly unforgettable lines of dialogue.
To what port do we sail?
See for yourself. We're nearly there.
Nearly where?
Home.
After all you have endured, it is only natural to feel conflicted.
Conflicted?
The dog may bark at the moon, but he cannot bring it down.
Do you know why a ship floats and a stone cannot?
I am grateful you have not known evil as I have. But you have not seen what I have seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
The sea is always right!
The sea is always right! And the sea is always right.
There is a tempest in me.
I'm good.
Much like the damage that was done to Doctor Who and Star Trek, for example, in recent years, I don't believe this Rings of Power show can really be repaired. Firstly, there was all the articles in the mainstream media about racist trolls, etc. I'd say a fair number of the potential fan base have been sufficiently alienated at this point. There's a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths now, and I can't imagine they'll be waiting 2 years with bated breath to watch another season of this. Secondly, the creative license taken with Tolkien's work was not appreciated by hardcore Tolkien fans. The series plays more like a big budget fan film series or something. Who is this show really made for, if not fans of Tolkien, the Peter Jackson films, and general audiences who enjoy epic fantasy stories? The first season's atrocious writing and sullying of the Middle-earth canon cannot be undone in the second season, and I don't think it can be easily forgotten. Thirdly, the story of the first season wasn't strong enough or interesting enough in my opinion. As a result, I just don't feel that many of the plot elements and mysteries left open for season 2 are really compelling enough to warrant watching the series. In my view, the series can only be enjoyed ironically for the lols and memes, which season 1 certainly provided an ample supply of. Finally, 2 years is probably way too long a hiatus for this kind of series, and in that time, I think a lot of people will just move on. If the show had been a massive smash hit and critically acclaimed by fans, then 2 years would possibly have made for an ideal way to generate plenty of anticipation. But it was anything but a smash hit. It was truly mediocre. Out of sight, out of mind after all, which is probably where this train wreck of a series should remain. Out of sight. And that, for now, should conclude my coverage of Rings of Power. For another 2 years anyway. Finally, I'd like to let you know about a really great chat I had recently with Thomas Sheridan on his channel Beyond Room 313. So go ahead and subscribe if you can. The link is in the description box. The discussion is about Rings of Power and other sci-fi fantasy series, how they've been affected by Hollywood's agendas, and the meaning of archetypes and symbolism in the popular franchises and stories of our age. We delve into a lot of great stuff, including how modern versions of these stories are being robbed of their themes of spirituality and transcendence. So go ahead and check out that discussion, it's well worth watching. That about does it for this video, guys. Take care. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.